1. I had attended the Boy Scouts of America for a couple of years when I was younger. If I remember correctly, I was a Wolf Scout at the time. That year they had decided to go to Camp Tawakoni for us to spend the week learning about camping and a bunch of different things. Now my experience there was quite a bit different than everyone else's, as I experienced an entire day that no one else seems to recall. To start, I can assure that I had not at any time fallen asleep on the bus. I do not recall any of the telltale signs that one experiences after falling asleep. You know what I'm talking about. The feeling in your mouth where it's almost dry, the groggy feeling in your brain as you struggle to make sense of what is going on around you. None of that. That part is important, and I'll come back to that part. I'll start with the bus trip. Nothing special here, but it is pretty much where it all starts. So we ride the bus out to the camp. Not a very long ride either, maybe 30 minutes altogether. Along the way I do my usual and scan the scenery, daydream, etc. We finally arrive at the camp and get unloaded, set up our tents, etc. Now that everything is set up, our troop leaders take us around to the different campsites and tell us about who will be staying there and inform us that other troops might be coming through our site to get to theirs. At this point some clouds move in and we decide to play a game of kickball. For those of you that aren't familiar with this game, it's basically baseball but you use a soccer ball. One of my favorite games ever as a child. Anyway, so we are playing the game and the sky gets darker, then eventually starts to rain. Slow at first, then picks up quite a bit. We finish our game and by that time we are all pretty soaked, so we all grab our lunch that we packed and go sit under the picnic area to dry off and eat. After the rain had stopped, we had went to check out the main building where we would meet for breakfast, lunch and dinner. The rest of the time we were at the camp. After checking everything out, we got back to the camp, and it's pretty late by this time, so we just spend the rest of the time at our campsite. Later that night we all decide to go to sleep telling ghost stories and whatnot. All this happened in a respectable time frame. I remember feeling time pass the way it should. I remember getting soaking wet and spending a good hour or so under the picnic area, eating and drying off, telling stories, talking about what was planned out for us and all that good stuff. This is where things get weird. We all lay down, tell our stories and go to sleep. All of a sudden I'm looking out the window of the bus as the doors open up, again. Now at this point I'm thoroughly confused because I've already done this part. So I go ahead and grab my bag again, and when I catch up to the scout leader I asked him what happened to yesterday, and why we were getting off the bus again. He laughed and said I must have fallen asleep. No, I don't think so. Now remember how I said earlier that I had no indication of falling asleep. It was a jump. I literally fell asleep and jumped back a whole day. This time was different, as the second time around we had no rain and did not play kickball. I spent a good hour trying to convince everyone that the previous day had happened. Even brought a couple of people to the adjacent camp that was shown to us the day before. But everyone just thought I had been to the camp before. I had not, though. I still think about that day and how everything happened. It still amazes me that nobody else remembers it. 2. So this was I'd say about 5 months ago. I'm 22 and I had my 14-year-old sister with me. My mom had asked my sister and I to run to Walmart to get a few groceries. Now we live in a semi-suburb outside of a larger city. This city is smaller than St. Louis, but bigger than most towns in the Midwest. We're about 15 minutes from our nearest Walmart. So I'll call my sister E for safety reasons. E and I decided instead of taking the 4-lane highway into town, that we take a country block. If you're from the Midwest, I imagine you'd know what a country block means. For you who aren't or may not know, it's bigger than a city block, so maybe around 2 city blocks. As we get to the T in the road, instead of taking the right which leads to the highway, we go left. Now these country roads are winding, curvy and can be dangerous at night. It was 9:15 p.m. when we left, And I remember this because I told Dee we'd be home relatively early for most summer nights. As we were going down this road, I see one other vehicle, and it was a lifted black Chevy which looked really nice. I mentioned this to E and she agreed. Well, we were listening to music and took our next turn, and the truck turned the same way and just vanished. Like totally up and disappeared. We thought this was kinda weird, but didn't think much of it. I looked at my phone and changed the song and looked back up. We were at our last turn and were making casual conversations, when she's like, "I really wonder where that truck went." I said I don't really know and turned. Well, this road I just turned on leads straight to the highway. There's trees on every side of the roads on these roads, so you can't see much. Houses are also kinda spread out with very few communities, I guess you can call them. Anyways, all of a sudden I look up at where we are at and... whoa. He and I looked at each other shell-shocked. We were totally on the opposite side of town at the other highway. We looked at each other, looked at the time, back at each other, and she says, "What the actual fuck?" Now my sister doesn't cuss at all, and we were both just taken by surprise. It's almost fucking midnight, and we've been gone 3 hours almost. But see, the thing is, even going on the opposite side of town, at the other highway that enters Evil, wouldn't take 3 hours to get to. It'd only take 20 minutes at most. So we'd lost all that time with no recollection of it. No idea how we ended up over there. If anyone knows of what this is, or if you've experienced it, comment and let me know. We still have no idea what to make of it. We told our mom and everything, and she was even concerned as to why we had been gone so long. She said aliens, which I must add that my family, excluding my dad, and I all believe in, the supernatural and paranormal aspect of things. I believe in ghosts and aliens. I've had encounters with ghosts, but never aliens. I've seen things, but nothing conclusive. I have evidence of ghosts, but not of aliens. I don't know what happened that night. It's a mystery to us. 3. So a few months ago I had to do some important home repairs. Electricity, plumbery, bulkhead, kitchen. My husband and I emptied our home and put all our things in the old other house, on our plot, if that's the right word. Clothes, furniture, books, and the important part of this story, important papers. Bank account, house assurance, property titles, wage slips. You get the idea. We got back home a month ago, since we couldn't live there with no electricity or water. And most of our stuff stayed in the old house because we still have to paint the entire house. And we don't want to move all those things twice. Into the story now. So unfortunately, the home repairs cost more than expected. So I have to sell my beautiful and beloved motorbike. After a few days, I got a call for it, and the guy had so many questions I needed the motorbike registration, which is most of the time in the backpack I use when I ride. I know, it's not safe. In a plastic wallet usually provided by insurance or car dealer. In this wallet, aside the bike registration, I also keep the insurance paper that I'm supposed to have in case of a police control. I have no idea why, since I also have to put a sticker on the car and bike, but that's not the point. And the proof that my bike has a restrictor because of some shitty law. I can't ride a bike over 35 kilowatts for 2 years. The insurance paper is there, always has been. I've seen it multiple times before. I've seen it every time I took the bike when I was living at my mother-in-law's house during the home repair. I saw it that day. I'm sure about it since I needed it that day. Plus, it's green, so it's kinda obvious that it's there. And I always check that I have everything I need before riding. I took out my car registration and the insurance paper, and after the call, I forgot to put them back in place and left them on the table. A few days later, when I needed it to ride, the guy changed his mind the day he was supposed to take her. Yes, her. So I still use her. I couldn't find the registration or the insurance paper. I finally found it outside in multiple pieces. So I guess there was a draft or something, and one of my dogs, I know it's you, Lucky, picked it up and destroyed it. Please note that I found the registration but not the insurance paper, not even a piece. I made a request to have a new registration and asked the insurance for a new paper and moved on. Until earlier today. I needed one of the important papers stored in the old house, so I went there and began looking for it and slowly turning insane because I really need it and it's not there. But that's another story. I looked in every plastic or cardboard sleeve, if that's the right word. I opened one of them containing everything about our cars, deeds for sale, repair and maintenance bills, insurance contract. So, not the part I'm supposed to bring, of course, etc. I'm looking paper by paper just in case. Even if it has nothing to do in that sleeve, but you never know. That's when I saw it. At first I thought it was the paper from last year, by her car, that I could have forgotten to throw away. Then I looked at the matriculation. Yep, it's my bike. Then I saw it was from 4/2018 to 3/2019. Yep, it's this year. It's here, all green, unfolded, exactly like if I just detached it from the original mail, and just put it in the sleeve. In the plastic wallet it was folded multiple times. I don't know what happened, how this is possible. As I said, I have zero doubt that it was in the plastic wallet. I even took it out the other day in front of a few friends because we were joking about police control. I wasn't at home that day. When I told my husband, he just said, "Cool, too bad I already asked for a new paper." I don't know why it doesn't bother him, it's not normal. I know it's possible that my dog ate it. I wouldn't have questioned it if I found it in another room or outside. But that paper just couldn't go from the table to a sleeve located in a cardboard box, which was in another house. That's just not possible. 4. About an hour ago, I had just put in a microwave meal. I turned to the opposite counter to grab a fork, and noticed my mom had bought bananas. I love bananas, but they have to be a certain degree of banana toastiness. So I'm searching all over this bundle of 5 bananas to find that perfect one with just a teeny bit of green left. I find the right one and put it on the table. Then got my meal out of the microwave. I go to set my plate down on the table and notice a banana is on the opposite side of the table from where I set it. Whatever, maybe I didn't notice where I set it. But I'm now sitting facing the bundle of bananas and look over to notice there's only 3 left. I go over and search the whole counter and surrounding area for the missing banana. And I know damn well there were 5 because I'm a banana freak. No peel, nothing. I went to my room to finish. This being the most recent occurrence. My childhood had quite a few, most in my grandmother's home, so I've considered imps or fairies. Sometime age 5 to 7, I vividly remember walking into my mother's bedroom and setting down a container of bubbles by the dresser next to the drawer. I walked across the room to grab something, then went back for my bubbles, which weren't there. I looked around and they were sitting on the bedside table across to the side of the room I hadn't been to. Age 11, same bedroom. My friend and I were filling up plastic gloves with Glacier Freeze Gatorade. Haven't got a clue why. We put the gloves in a bucket and went to pick up the Gatorade container, which was the giant, gallon-size one. And it was just gone. Still had Gatorade in it, and it just disappeared. We searched that whole room, fearing it got spilled. Just gone. Age 16, I'm in my friend's truck, with other friend D. We were approaching a stop sign in a small neighborhood. As we were nearly stopped, the air turned nearly tangible. Time seemed to stretch out. And at the same time, D had been talking about trees, so he's in the middle of a sentence and the word living just comes out like... The best way to describe it is a record scratching. As soon as he got the word out, it repeated. The exact same. He said it 4 times, and this whole occurrence lasted probably 3 or 4 seconds. As it ended, we were rounded the corner and driving down the next street. There were also a few times as a child where I would randomly predict things. At 3 or 4, I told my mom we were gonna go see mountains and the ocean. She thinks, oh yeah, right. 4 months later, we go to Colorado. 2 months after that, we go to southern Texas. I would have multiple dreams about random things and they'd come true. In my first grade class, there was a girl, Kristen. I would always know about her for some reason. She'd walk into class, and I would know exactly what she'd be wearing. I started drawing pictures before she came in for proof. I would tell her what she brought in that day for show and tell, what lunch or milk she would get, random things. Never took note as a child that small. Anyways, take it how you will. Some feedback and ideas what this could be would be awesome. 5. The driver's side back door on my brother's car stopped working a week or two ago. We tried opening it, both from the inside and the outside, and there was no tension on the door handle from either side. It was like whatever connected the handles to the latching mechanism inside the door had broken. So it was just an empty set of handles that wasn't actually pulling anything. It felt like the kind of tension change you'd get if a spring in a mechanism had snapped. The door handle felt like it was just pulling freely with no connection to anything except its own hinges. He said that the same thing happened on a different door, and remained that way until he took it to get fixed. We chalked it up to an aging car, and I started sitting on the other side. Recently I got the random urge to look up the old psychic, bend a spoon with your mind trick. I thought it was interesting. The way all the guides focused on simply believing that it would happen, free from the burden of doubt. I did not mention any of this to him, since it was just aimless browsing as usual. It didn't stand out to me at the time. The other night we were going for an after-dark walk, and he was looking around for the bag that we use to carry water bottles. We usually leave this in the back seat of the car whenever we go somewhere, wanting to take water with us while walking around. He went to check the back seat of the driver's side, and I asked something like, "Does that door work now?" Just in time for him to open the door like nothing had ever been wrong with it. He retrieved the water bag, and we kind of stared at one another for a moment, and mentioned how it had just been broken. I don't remember our exact words. Apparently he had forgotten that it was even broken. He then closed the door and tried to open it again. It was a no-go. He couldn't open it, and neither could I when I tried immediately afterwards. It had that same loose broken door handle feeling from before. He theorized that because I said it couldn't open, it was preventing him from opening it again. We experienced all kinds of weirdness with a regularity that used to be disturbing, so we just kind of took a, weird as usual, approach and went for our walk. Fast forward to today. I've since refreshed my knowledge of the owl method and given that a try with a non-traditional twist. I'll save that for a different post. Had a lot of interesting meditation sessions, and generally contemplating the malleability of reality as it sits before us. As we were getting ready to run errands today, I remembered the door, and how I'd still been sitting on the opposite side of the seat because it was broken. I walked myself through a similar process to that of spoon bending, with the added step of ignoring the outcome because I already knew it was fixed. I walked outside and said the same thing to him today. "Do you think the door will work?" He didn't appear to hear me, so I casually reached for the door handle, which had all its normal tension and feel back, and opened for me just fine. I'm not entirely sure what I think. A glitch? Car door bending? Schrodinger's car door handle. My brother dicking me around for fun. No indicator of this. The car door randomly jammed, but felt loose and broken when it really wasn't. I don't know. But I thought that the timing was super interesting, considering the nature of my recent meditation, musings, etc. I've been experiencing lots of synchronicities in other areas as well. A car door sure seems more useful to bend than spoons, but maybe I'll be trying those next regardless. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories 80. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I'd just like to thank everybody who joined me on the birthday stream yesterday. I'm assuming I actually did one. If not, I'll have to quickly redo this outro. It's probably the only one I'm going to do this week because, I'm spending the week relaxing, and I think by this point I'll probably have started work, continuing on with the audiobook I'm working on. I'm hoping to get a good chunk of that done before I start back. Then I'll just continue and get it finished off as I have been. But yeah, this should let me get a let me get the bulk of it done. Okay, and with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.